Well, we've been talking about the contributions of Michael White. As we mentioned last time, White is interesting because he straddled this sort of old style way that we had interpreted addiction and recovery from basically the 1970s when he started his career to the introduction of science that really got on a roll in the 1990s. So he's an interesting person because he's seen both sides of this and was particularly interested in the new ideas that were being promoted by actual research in the field and what does and doesn't work. And one of the things that he wanted to tackle, because he found this quite offensive, was the idea that in therapy with people suffering from substance problems, you needed to be really confrontational with them. And this is, again, based on this older approach to it. The older approach says, look at, the person with an addiction is in denial. They all have like narcissistic personality traits. At the same time, they have inferiority complexes. And there was sort of a way of looking at a person with an addiction as a specific personality. And then the argument was, how do you break through this? How do you break through denial? Well, you have to confront them. So anytime they say something that really doesn't fit the mold of getting into recovery, like, geez, I don't know, I think maybe I'll have a drink again. Then we just like jump on the person, right? In the actual therapy, it would be called something like, call the client on his stuff, right? Something along that line. And confrontation was actually written into the treatment models. And there would actually be special groups held and actually some of them were even called confrontation groups. And this is quite offensive to William White because he didn't think that this is actually very therapeutic. And when he and another fellow called William Miller, one of the renowned experts in the field, got together, they wrote a paper on this, and they showed that every research study that had looked at confrontation in therapy showed that, one, it was ineffective, and two, it probably bordered on malpractice. And with some groups, such as women who had been abused, people like that it was actually abusive and did constitute malpractice. And this kind of idea really, as I said, offended Michael White because he thought people with addiction should be treated the same as everybody else in the healthcare profession. So he really promoted this idea, well, let's not just assume that the old style is right. Let's see what the research says. And the research is very clear that really the typical treatments going on that were confrontational were, if we applied them to any other people in the healthcare field, they actually would constitute malpractice. And so he promoted this idea that we should get rid of confrontation as a style of counseling. Although, of course, confrontation here and there can be very useful and is a good technique. But just as a style of counseling, we should eliminate it because it really was abusive when we look at it. At any rate, that's it for this episode. We'll be back next time with another idea that William White promoted.